Hello there. Yeah, I want to talk about two words that have really kind of affected my life and I think might even affect yours as well. And they are these yes, let's. I think it's really important to have a kind of playful outlook on life. I think it can help improve your everyday life, your socializing, your work, all sorts. And it all comes from these two words. So I'd like to share my ramblings with you on the importance of play and playfulness in your lives. But to start, I want to talk about what is play, defining the word play. It's something that as a child you spend a lot of your time doing. Most of the things you're doing are play and messing about. You probably spend more time running about being a bee than you did sitting down working out timetables and things like that. Play is very important in childhood. And it's where we do all our socializing. It's where we learn lots of stuff about the world that we live in, all that kind of stuff. Play is messy, it's dirty, it's fun, it's silly, it's exciting, it's dangerous. It's serious stuff. It's something that actually is quite serious, particularly in Wales. Wales is fantastic for recognising the importance of play in childhood development and its place in society. Some things have come up with the Playwork principles in 2005 that attempted, amongst other things, to define what play behaviour was. How to recognise play and to see whether or not what a child was doing was an activity, something structured, or something that was truly play. And it is something that is freely chosen. A child, opts into play entirely of their own volition. It's something that they do for their own reasons. It's not something they're instructed to do. When you play for your own reasons. It's personally directed. What you, or the child, the player does, they choose where it goes, how you play, what it is that you play with. You can give a child a football and hope that they'll play football with it, but actually it's up to them whether or not it's going to be a planet with which they'll start orbiting around with, or if it's going to be a big yellow alien that chases them across a room. Yeah? It is their direction. And more importantly, it's something that is intrinsically motivated. You play for play's sake. There are a lot of byproducts of play, like learning about society, learning about how the world works around you, about learning maths, about learning about pain and challenges and overcoming things. But they are byproducts. They're not the reason you play. But there's something that happens to play as you get older. It changes somehow. It changes because of time constraints, it changes because of extra responsibilities and all sorts of other things start to constrict or change the way that you play. An interesting thing happens. When you ask an adult what the opposite of play is, they'll tell you the opposite of play is work. You ask a child what the opposite of play is, and it's boredom. It's quite interesting, isn't it? That actually, suddenly work becomes something frivolous, something you do on the edge, something that you don't, it's pointless. It doesn't have a reason. But actually, for a child, it's the most important thing you could be doing. In fact, anything else that isn't play is just... brilliant, I'm glad you got some photos of that. Thanks, that's my profile sort of like sorted for the next couple of years. Right, what am I talking about? Oh yeah, that sort of stuff. So yeah, how does adult play, I don't mean adult play, I mean adult playfulness change? It starts to become... It starts to become something quite structured. Oh my gosh, this sounds really weird. Structured play. Your play becomes something different. It becomes more relaxation, say. It becomes more sedate. And your playful time becomes sitting in front of TV, radio, or it becomes quite structured and in certain times and places, like sport, like football, things like that. Things that you do on a weekend. Or going out on a Friday night to the pub with a couple of friends, having a few glasses of wine, a few glasses of beer. That's when you start to show uninhibited play behavior. But there is a time and a place for it. I want to start looking at why we do that. What happens? When did play become a four-letter word? When did play become something that adults don't do? It is not appropriate. I want to reclaim that word. I think that play should be, as well as a word for childhood, should also be a word for adulthood. I want to share some ways that I do my play. It's all right, it's nothing too iffy. One of it is jazz parking. Now, I talked about this at Ignite, and yeah, I'd like to share jazz parking. I live in Swansea on Gower. I spend a lot of my time surfing, and that means parking in fields with other surfers and sharing that field with other cars. Even though there aren't lines on the road or in the field, people do tend to make nice little neat lines with their cars. That's nice. I like to jazz park, which is parking your car at a slightly jaunty angle. You go for a surf, you come out a few hours later, all of a sudden, you've changed the entire orientation of the car park. It's brilliant, okay? Yeah? But what's important to me is that play is, I do it for my own reason. It's freely chosen. I choose to do it. No one tells me, hey, Ben, you should jazz park today. I jazz park because I want to. I do it because it's quite interesting. It's a little social experiment. What happens? How powerful is my car? Have I got an influential car? And it doesn't hurt anybody as well. I make sure that my play doesn't involve anything that upsets people. Another way that I play is play with my food. This could upset people because the way I like to play with my food involves Marmite. And I know that there is quite a divide in the world of Marmite eating. Those, well, not even eating, appreciation. Those that love the Marmite and would like maybe a jacuzzi full of it in the house. Maybe not. Okay. And then there's the other end that would like to sort of like see all Marmite just buried in a deep mine and left there and forgotten about because even the thought of it upsets you. But Marmite patting is something that I think can unite both the lovers and the haters. In fact, started up kind of like a brotherhood of Marmite patting, of which I'm the founder. Actually, no, my mum is the founder because she, many years ago, when I was a small boy, had quite a simplistic outlook on life. But I also believed in some kind of universal constants. Things like gravity always pulls down. Cats always go meow, and dogs always go woof. And Marmite will always, always, always be black, or very, 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 very dark brown for the pedantic amongst us. But then one day my mum showed me something that blew my little mind, which wasn't that difficult to do, really. But yeah, she got a bit of Marmite, put it on a plate, and gave me a spoon and said, pat that, boy, pat it, pat away. So I did. I patted the Marmite with the spoon. Why, mother, why? Strange, it was mid-Wales. Very little to do over there. So yeah, I patted away at my Marmite, and before my very eyes, the Marmite went from being black, or very, very, very dark brown, to white. Yes, there's the ooh. There's always an ooh somewhere. Yeah, I patted that Marmite with a spoon, and it went white. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. But hang on a minute, as my world slowly started to crumble around my ears. What if, because of this, what if I suddenly look out the window and there's a cat barking floating up into a tree? What if all my universal constants change? But that's okay, because a little bit of change is all right. But Marmite patting, yeah, uniting the lovers and the haters. Where am I going? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I even took this to another level. This is the stages that Marmite goes through of various patting. Right? At the top, standard Marmite, part whipped and fully whipped. These are pictures from the BBC Big Bang Theory. I was so intrigued by this idea of playing with your food and making it look different that it followed me for years. I always wanted to know why it went white, and I could never get a satisfactory answer. And then I found out that there was a roadshow coming to Swansea. So I elbowed loads of 12-year-olds out the way. No shame. To get my way to Dr. Yan of the BBC, and I was there armed with Marmite and a spoon, no plate. I had to use my credit card. That's how dedicated I am to the cause of Marmite patting. And I asked him why. Why does it go white? And he told me lots of things, and I was like, oh, could be interesting. Maybe those are the reasons why. A couple of weeks later, I got a text. He'd done a program on it. Marmite science. Can you believe it? So yeah, he did a program. He looked at why it happens. It's to do with diffraction of light through bubbles in the Marmite. It's like clouds. So yeah, I learned a little bit about it, and I spread the word. I found out, though, that play and that playful thought is infectious. I'd managed to get someone else to take what I'd done and take it that little bit further. I found out that through playfulness, you can start to get other people to be more creative, or to maybe take your play and develop it even more. Somewhere that play happens quite a lot and is accepted is at places like festivals, and I've got the privilege, working with a few other people, of going to places like Glastonbury Festival and running adult playfields. And again, not adult play, but play for smutty laugh from Mr. Neil over there. Yeah, it's a place where we get to throw people around on massive, gigantic fabric sheets, where we get strangers to play and interact with each other. People come in through a field, they meet us, we hoik them into a corner, we put them on the edge of this piece of fabric, and they suddenly start throwing around a stranger, playing games of tag like they haven't done for years on end. It's really interesting, though, the amount of people that walk past us. And I hand out invitations. I go up and I invite people to play. And bearing in mind this is a festival of choices and freedom and art, the amount of people that will say, when prompted, would you like to join this game? Yeah, but I've got to be there. Oh, yeah, but I've... she says the thing. You're in a festival. And yet you suddenly have this kind of like itinerary of reasons not to do things. It's a fairly natural state, actually. It's a new thing. I'm a 6'3" guy running up to you going, do you want to play a game of tag? Yeah? Some people might go, maybe not. But those that stay, those that say, yeah, let's give that a go, suddenly get something new out of it. They start making friends with people they hadn't talked to before. They try games that they haven't played since they were 15 or so, or 12 or younger. And I find that really exciting, the fact that you have people there that have never met before that are suddenly prepared to share quite almost intimate things of laughing with people that you've never laughed with before. I find it fantastically infectious. Those that say yes, let's, they start to spread that around as well. Because if you see someone else going, yeah, let's, it gives you permission to maybe try something new. And giving permission is all about playfulness. And playfulness for me is all about accepting permissions. I love walking around the festivals after we've done our shift and seeing the little games that we've played in a field on one side of the festival happening in a crowd on the other side, completely spontaneously, through someone else going, hey, I did this stupid thing with a tall guy who was very shouty. Would you like to maybe make a human pyramid like we made earlier on? And seeing that being passed on is really exciting. Having a yes, let's attitude gets you looking at possibilities and looking at new thoughts and new experiences, trying out new stuff. You've got to be careful, though, with the yes, let's attitude, because if you say yes, let's to everything, you can end up doing stupid things. You can end up unicycling across the country. Twice. So 2 years ago, my friend back in Wales, we got this email from people saying, we're thinking about doing a unicycle ride. And my friend turned to me and said, I wonder how far we could unicycle. And I thought, yes, I can't unicycle. Let's do it. Thinking, rather hoping that, like many of my other friends, we'd forget about it the next day. But no, 2 weeks later, I phoned him up and kind of like, have you started practicing? Thinking, he's never started practicing. No, won't be training at all. Yes, I've been doing 2 weeks now. I'm like, okay. We trained hard, and then eventually we crossed the country. And on the way back from that journey, it took us 4 days to do. It was brilliant. We went over the Pennines. We cycled up. We overtook two-wheel bikes. Brilliant. Unicycles for the win. Uphill. Downhill, different matter. No freewheeling on a unicycle, no gears, so you have to pedal every single way. I worked out it's about over 100,000 pedals in that way. It's a lot of time on my hand, I think. On the way back, though, I was with my partner, Amy, and I was saying in my slightly delirious state, I would like to unicycle from London to Swansea. And at that moment, two simultaneous thoughts happened. One was, don't be stupid, Ben. You can barely walk. Your knees are knackered. Your ankle's swollen. You couldn't do this again. Take a break. And the other thought was, yeah, let's. And the thing is, even though the rational part of me was going, no, don't do it. That's even more time off work. It's over twice the distance. You're broken after this one trip. Imagine what would it be like to do a second one. The yes, let's just gets louder and louder and louder. And that's the bit that I think is really important, because it gave me a new set of eyes as well. It gave me something to look at with a new set of lenses. When you're on unicycle, you feel every single bump in the road. Every single corner becomes a little bit more of a challenge than it would on a normal bike. But also the pace that you're going at allows you to see the world at a much slower rate. And that gives you time to appreciate what's there. Had I not thought, yeah, let's, and played a bit with that idea, I might not have experienced the parts of England that I did in the way that I did. See the rain coming in over the Pennines in a big sheet that took a while to get to us, things like that I would not have seen otherwise. And suddenly forgets what he's on about again. Oh yeah, that was it. Also, the other bit is that I got Amy to join me. She couldn't unicycle either. She had to learn all over again. The thing about unicycles is there are no support groups. You don't go to a big sort of like learning session with lots of other people that learn how to unicycle. You have to get on, get down the park, and fall off. Yeah, you have to get it wrong. Getting it wrong is fantastic, because if you're not getting it wrong, you're not trying hard enough. For example, could everyone just put one thumb up like this? There we go, excellent. And now with your other hand, just stick out your little finger. Make sure I don't drop the expensive bit of kit. Right, and then on 3, all I want you to do is, how many iPads are now about to fall on the floor? Right, and then just swap them over. Almost there, John, almost, John. So like that, so that hand there, and then this one there, and like that, and like this. Like that, no, like that, like that. Yeah. Hey, Neil's been practicing, I like it. And Claire, fantastic. I like doing that because I like people. It makes you laugh. Getting it wrong is funny. Getting it wrong is actually kind of amusing, particularly if you're next to someone who does it slightly worse than you do. Smokiness, but also kind of exciting. It's okay to get it wrong, and I want to make sure people know it's okay to get it wrong. Even in the hazy, I can still people still go, I'm not listening anymore. I have things to... I want to make sure it's okay to get it wrong, because there's this culture of fail that goes on that makes people afraid of trying new things. So to make it okay for you, so everyone gets a little chance doing it, top tips of getting this right. Number 1, practice with one hand first. Yeah? And then with each hand, you get to learn to do that. Second one, twist your hands ever so slightly. That helps you do it. And the third one, my favourite, close your eyes. Because if you can't see it go wrong, well, it's all okay. But yeah, I think that it's important to allow yourself to get things wrong, because it gives permission for others to get it wrong. It gives you permission to explore, and it gives other people permission to explore things. Sometimes it's not about you doing something, sometimes it's about you being supportive for someone else. This is my friend Barney, who had a dream to ride across Swansea on space hoppers and then dive into Swansea Bay. And it was a daft idea, but actually by saying yes, let's to him, we had a gang of about 10 of us riding through Swansea on space hoppers. It was really exciting because we learned a couple of things. Number 1, it's not a particularly sensible form of transport. It's actually worse than unicycling, so yeah, hooray. It's really hard to sing while on a space hopper. And number 3, it's quite a good flotation device, but a very, very bad tool for crossing the Atlantic with. So yeah, good choice there, But yeah, it's this exploration thing that I also get from Yes Let's, which is things like jazz driving, an upgrade from jazz parking. Jazz driving, if you're going on a journey, it's okay to get lost. In fact, I encourage getting lost, because if you take that turn to the road that you don't know, or walk a path and find an extra route that you never knew was there, you might find something fantastic. You might find that little cafe that you never knew was there, or a new viewpoint on a place that you love. Exploration is an important part of our play. Taking risks is even more important. Stepping out of your comfort zone and saying yes, let's to things that might be difficult is really important. If you're taking risks, and I mean acceptable risks, you can grow so fast, but you can also encourage others to grow around you. And by taking risks, what you're doing is, again, giving permissions for other people to take risks. And that way, you can change a whole society. I've worked with the youth circus, and there was a young lad that wanted to walk on a walking globe. It's a 2.5 foot wide plastic ball about this big that you balance on. It's very slippery, very tricky on the ground. He wanted to do it on a table that's 7 foot tall. My first thought is no. Sure, death would await. But we took that risk of going, yes, let's consider the idea. And together we worked out how it would work, and we worked out how to make it safe. And he got up there, and both of us had the biggest adrenaline rush going. But it was through yes, let's attitude that we managed to get things working. Learning, as long as you're learning, you're having fun, you are learning new things. I encourage you all to go out there and consider a more yes, let's approach to life, because it's fun, and having fun is good. Having fun allows you to be creative and make changes. If you can change one little thing, if everyone here can go away today with just that one yes, let's attitude, and to look at a problem next time, be it in work, or be it at home, or be it just what to do today, and let a yes, let's thought take over for that one moment, you might find life gets pretty fantastic. And it's a little postcard I just want to finish with that sums it all up for me that I found somewhere. If you're yes, let's sing at the world, if you're being more playful in your approach to the world, then life gets good. Have fun. Don't hurt people. Don't give up, because it's the striving on that is fun. And strive to be happy. It's all good. Thank you very much. Please, yes, let's.
Thank you, sir.